technology,
science,
space,
environment,
people.
places.
It's all totally awesome.
Hi and welcome to another episode of Totally Awesome. Today we'll go and see a mammoth protest that hopes to change the way people fish.
See the computer game that even baffles the world chess champion.
Visit the Robot World Cup, where students get the chance to test their scientific knowledge while having a whole lot of fun.
And meet the people who are fighting to save some very rare animals.
Wouldn't it be great if some of the top sports people came to your school and taught you all their tricks about the game? In the UK, some kids are getting that chance. The Football Association launched a £6 million program recently to help combine sport with education. They want to produce even more fantastic football stars for England. There are 17,000 schools across the country, and not all of them have access to facilities needed to develop kids' sporting skills. This program hopes to give all 7 to 11-year-olds a head start in the biggest sport in Britain. Top English players are also supporting the campaign. Teachers think it's great, especially because it helps schools in the city that have very little space. The money will go towards buying equipment and training for both kids and teachers. It's hoped that in 3 years' time, the kids will have the skills they've never had before. So watch out, David Beckham, there's a new champion on the way up.
I'm sure that this giant floating whale would have caught your eye if you had been driving past the Thames recently. Well, that was the idea. Protesters used the inflatable giant to bring awareness to the whaling problem around the globe. Campaigners say that despite a worldwide delay on commercial whaling introduced in 1986, up to 21,000 still have been slaughtered. It was the International Fund for Animal Welfare that took to the river and sailed the giant past the windows of Parliament. Even though Britain is an anti-whaling country, the International Whaling Commission met in London recently to consider allowing Iceland to start commercial whaling again. Norway kills about 500 whales a year, and Japan kills a similar number, apparently for scientific research. Anti-whaling countries including Britain, Australia, New Zealand and the United States want a new whale sanctuary in the South Pacific Ocean. It's here that Japan is said to take most of its whales. Anti-whaling leaflets were given to Japanese tourists in the hope to raise even more awareness. Let's hope all their efforts are successful.
This is the vast countryside of Somalia in Africa. A very long time ago, it was filled with wildlife, sleeping, eating and wandering through the hot daylight to a new destination. One of the main occupants of the land were the big cats, cheetahs, lions, leopards and panthers. Now, because of hunting, camels seem to be the only animals you'd be able to see. Crouching down in the grasses, these cats would be prepared at any moment to hunt for food to feed a growing family. The African land we think of mostly is called a savanna. It's a huge grass-covered landscape. In fact, 1/3 of Africa, or 10 million square kilometres, is made up of savanna. For some reason, hunters have come from around the world to hunt the cats, and now you're more likely to see them in a cage than in the wild. These two beautiful cheetah cubs are named Lady and Chic. They're about 3 months old. Their carer, Anastab Rudley, has been caring for them since they were found orphaned a month ago. She's not formally trained in wildlife care, but she is given an enormous amount of time to researching and talking to people on the net about how to take care of them. Even her son helps out and loves to spend time playing with the little ones. Amazingly, Anastab said that buying the cheetahs in Somalia is very easy. These two were tied up outside a restaurant waiting to be sold. In the hope of keeping them in good condition and in the country, Anastab bought them. Because she's devoting her time to raising the cubs, the UN has stepped in with medicines to keep the pair healthy. I think this needle looks a lot worse than what it is. They don't seem to mind too much. In Hargeisa, the second largest city in Somalia, the animal trade is strong. Cheetahs, birds of prey like the eagle, or even the caracal are available at the right price. It may sound fun to own your own pet lion. Imagine the damage it could do to the lounge suite. The problem with this trade is the reduction of the animal breed and also the concern about the right way to look after a wild animal. Cattle used to be the main trade here, but an export ban to the Gulf states mean people try to make money by selling wildlife. Osman Bile has 6 cheetahs, and his favourite animal, Chi-Chi, is a lioness. He hopes to start the first zoo in Somalia and is collecting animals from remote areas. The UN would like to send the captured animals to Nairobi to be well looked after and introduced to a breeding program. Osman believes he's capable of looking after the animals in his own country and hopes to gain support from the government to open his zoo. Whatever the outcome, it's an important issue to be addressed. The cheetah is the fastest overland animal in the world. It's thought that there are only around 12,000 left. It's time for people to stop and think about what's happening to these magnificent animals and the effect it's going to have on our world when they're no longer around.
While we're talking about rare breeds, believe it or not, these farm animals are starting to fall into that category. Due to the outbreak of foot and mouth disease, some farm animals are under threat. On a positive note, the Rare Breeds Survival Trust has begun working on a way to preserve the livestock by building up a gene bank. This is Cruckley Farm, and it is a working family farm dedicated to rare breeds. Breeds like this Old English ox. John Johnson and his wife Sue run the farm. He used to be a vet and he's committed to preserving rare breeds. He sees them as the key to the future. Grey-face Dartmoor sheep need looking after. 8% have been lost to foot and mouth. A gene bank could make sure they survive. The gene bank has the support of the Prince of Wales and could ensure these animals could be seen all over the world. And that's no hogwash.
It's estimated that an average of 50 to 90 billion tonnes of snow fall every year in Japan. By summer, it's all melted away and the Japanese people get used to the steamy heat that can often reach temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. But tucked away in a cool tunnel deep in the mountains of Iwate is a storage room that keeps a bit of winter tucked up well into the summer. Visitors to the Yakiko tunnel can have guides explain to them how the 500 tonnes of snow collected in the winter months help store grain and other cultural products at a constant temperature of 8 degrees Celsius without using any electricity at all. This method of alternative air conditioning is still an experiment in Japan. One farming group has taken it on as a serious alternative to bringing energy costs down. Like many other towns in the northern parts of Japan, Namata sees over 10 metres of snow every year. Snow can usually be preserved nearly all year round if placed in an insulated room. In the summer, air is channeled through the stored vats of snow, and that produces cool and moist air, perfect for keeping unchaffed rice fresh. While it's a little expensive to set up, there are savings to be had in the operating costs. Weather experts say over 5,000 tonnes of snow is usually wasted or collected by snowplows and snow shovels and left to melt. That amount is enough to provide approximately 8% of Japan's summer air conditioning needs for 120 million people. So far, only a few homes for the elderly are already using this form of energy. While the air is clean and fresh, the institution's main concern is that the system is costly to install. The snow air conditioning system costs its residents over $165,000 to install. Nearby, in the research lab of Nakawara Air Conditioning, they're trying to bring these costs down. But for the moment, to cool an average home, approximately 10 tonnes of snow is needed, enough to fill up 3 average cargo containers. Researchers at Nakagawa are convinced that if more people were interested and invested in this system, it would become cheaper. It's such a fantastic way to use the natural resources we have while saving the environment from dangerous energy users like air conditioners. It would also give you a reserve of snowballs for the winter months and somewhere to play if you got bored in summer. But seriously, this is science using nature for a positive, world-friendly use. We should get behind it so it becomes affordable for everyone.
This innocent-looking computer and a man are about to enter a battle of the highest degree. They are about to play chess, and at the end determine whether man can ever win over a computer. The reigning world chess champion, Vladimir Kramnik, is about to play Deep Fritz, the world's most powerful chess computer, to decide whether man or machine rules the game. Vladimir has revenge in his sights. His passion to defeat the computer is fueled by ex-world champion Garry Kasparov's loss in 1997 to the supercomputer Deep Blue in New York. Vladimir and the computer Deep Fritz 7 will play 8 games over a fortnight. The supercomputer that beat Garry in 1997 weighed 1.4 tonnes and was over 6 feet high and needed 20 people to keep it running. Deep Fritz, however, can run on a laptop, is operated by one minder, weighs just 50 grams and can fit on a compact disc. More powerful than ever before, the latest secret version will be able to analyse over 4 million rationalised moves in a second. A fact that does not seem to faze Vladimir, who has been playing chess since he was 4 years old. It should be a great competition, man against machine. Who do you think will win?
Defying warnings they could be buried alive, villagers of Bonga Gully have returned to their homes. As Mount Mayon spits out superheated lava, the villagers, undaunted by the danger, return to their village to gather rocks, a job worth about $2 a day. Nearly 50,000 residents have fled their foothill homes around Mayon since the volcano sprang back into life and began erupting recently. A volcano is quite simply a hole in the Earth's crust. It can either explode without warning or erupt slowly and quietly, allowing people to escape. Towering like a huge cone over Albany Province, 330 kilometres southeast of Manila, Mayon has a history of 47 violent eruptions. Its deadliest blast occurred in 1814 when it buried a whole town and 1,000 of its residents under volcanic rock and ash. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo, also in the Philippines, erupted, sending ash 14,000 metres into the air and rocks flying to land on an island 90 kilometres away. Although many have returned to their homes, more than 46,000 people still remain inside school buildings 11 kilometres from the crater. Mayon unleashed 3 big eruptions recently when it hurled out burning rocks to a height of 10 kilometres and blanketed surrounding towns with ash before lapsing into an apparent lull. But it spluttered back into life in the 4 days following, spewing lava with roaring sounds, which prompted the Volcanology Institute to maintain the alert level to a maximum 5, meaning the mountain remained in a state of hazardous eruption. 12-year-old Ronnie Varagas started gathering boulders a few days after the eruption. Like other children his age, Ronnie has stopped going to school because the schools have been converted into evacuation centres. Ronnie is just among a handful of villagers who return to the danger zone to gather volcanic rocks to be picked up later by a truck for delivery to a nearby town where they're crushed and used to build houses. But Ronnie has to wait for the volcano to calm down before any trucks will come and collect their harvest. Truck foreman Santi said they don't go near the volcano when it's still spewing lava. Volcanoes can be classified 3 ways: active like this one, dormant, one that hasn't erupted for some time, and extinct, one that hasn't stopped erupting completely. While this volcano is active, these hard-working people are putting their lives at risk. It makes you wonder, is it really worth the effort?
Have you ever wondered just what your dog is trying to tell you when he barks or scratches at the door? Well, a Japanese toy maker has come up with a gadget that can tell whether your pet is barking mad or simply barking because it is mad. The toy is called the Bowlingual, or the world's first computerized translator of canine language. It doesn't really interpret words or phrases. As far as we know, dogs don't speak like we do. But this new toy from the land of the gadgets senses the dog's emotion through a voice print of its barks and whines. Through a microphone attached to the dog's collar, your pet can give information that is sent via infrared beam to the owner's canine emotional pager, translating the noises into different emotions. So far, they have identified 6 basic emotions in dogs: frustration, anger, relaxation, happiness, sadness, and a feeling of accomplishment. And all that for just $103. For now though, the translator will only be available in Japan. Be careful though, with this sort of technology, soon your dog will be calling you at school to let you know just what he's thinking.
And finally, it may not be quite on the scale of the real World Cup, but the passions at this robot soccer tournament run as deep. The contest is deadly serious and requires as much skill as the real game. Like human players, the robots must be fast, smart, and have a good sense of the field. The robot's movements are directed by a remote control computer. The international contest is a chance for researchers and students to share scientific knowledge as well as have a bit of fun. Robot soccer is a way for the researchers to apply artificial intelligence to robotic systems. This research can be used in other fields, such as industrial systems or household robotic systems. The Federation of International Robot Soccer Association Robot World Cup has become an annual event since it was first held in 1998 in South Korea and has since been held in France and Australia. The China Science and Technology Museum in Beijing played host to this year's event, and more than 20 teams from countries including Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, South Korea, Canada and the Czech Republic participated. Last year's World Cup winners were South Korea. And this year, once again, the South Korean team took home the trophy. The winning team of robots, Mascaro, hailed from Postech University in South Korea. "I am very happy now and I have no words to explain this," said Shin De-ming, who's been on the winning team twice so far. Next year, the Robot World Cup will take place on the sidelines of the real World Cup in South Korea. Robot soccer players will finally be able to see their human idols in the flesh. That's it for this series of Totally Awesome. We look forward to seeing you next time.